Good afternoon, students. In today's lecture, we will cover database management system. Now, first start with what is database. Coming with the basic definition of what is database. A database is a collection of interrelated data that is organized so that it can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. Wheresoever your record is there, that is called a database. If you go to any bank and the bank manager or the clerk asks you what is your account number, with your account number they can retrieve all your data. That is, what is your name, what's your father name, what's the funds in your amount, what is the deposit amount at a particular date, what is the withdraw amount at a particular date. Means all the record that is concerned with you can be extracted, can be retrieved, and the where the record it is called the database. Okay, a database management system, it's an abbreviation of DBMS, is a collection of interrelated data and set of programs to access those data. Okay, if I am saying it is the interrelated data, first come to this word interrelated data, that means which are having some connection. If I am saying database is interrelated data. To clarify this term, if I'm saying I'm going to make one bank record, okay, record in a bank. In a bank record, what is the mandatory condition that we will require here is, first is we will say name should be there, father's name, address should be there, and amount should be there. If you are above 18 and you are having a privilege to open a bank account, then you must have all these things along with you. Or we may say that Aadhaar card number should be there. If I say you're going to open a bank account, whether they are going to ask you what's your roll number in college, what's your branch in college, what is your institute name? No, this is called irrelevant data. That is not having concern with your bank account. The data, if I'm saying the field should be interrelated, the field should be concerned with that particular management system. If I'm saying DBMS is there, DBMS means abbreviation is DB stands for database, B is management, S is the system. Okay, database means data could be of any system where we can manage the data. That's why we are calling it database management system. Okay. What sort of database management system could be there? If we're talking about college, then we may say that college management system could be there. Yes, one example of database management system. What the college will do, they will keep the record of your roll number, your name, your father's name, your mother's name, your address, whether you are hostlers or day scholar. Means all the records related to the college will be maintained by the college management system. Your branch, your semester, all these record keeping will be held under college management system, and whatsoever the data they will collect related to one particular student comes under the database management system. any record keeping of one particular system is called the database management system, where we'll keep the record of the data. Okay. If we are saying this is college management system, is the college is concerned with how much amount is in your bank account? No, they are not concerned with. They are only concerned with your details. They are not concerned with your bank details. Okay. So if I'm saying this is interrelated data, means the data which is having dependency related to their system only, not to some other system. They will not relate the other system with their system. So database management system is a collection of interrelated data and set of programs to assess those data. Then the characteristics of database. It is self-describing. A database gives description about itself. Okay? If I'm saying it's a college database system, then with the keyword of college, you will encounter at first, yes, there will be this system will keep the record of the students. Okay. So it is self-describing. Multiple users can access the same data. Yes, many users can access the same data. Your record can be accessed by main office. Your record can be accessed by account office. Your record can be accessed by department. Your record can be accessed by you. Your record can be accessed by university. Means one database has been created, but different users can access the same data. Data exists permanently. Yes, data exists permanently until and unless it will be deleted by the owner or by the administrator. Data security is there. It protects the data from unauthorized access with the help of password. You can give the password to your database. Many softwares are available in the market which is used as a database management system. You must have heard about SQL, Oracle, MS Access. These are all the type of databases. Now coming to the database management system. Firstly, we have heard what is database. Now database management system is a collection of interrelated data, set of programs to assess the data. DBMS contain information about a particular enterprise. Okay. The DBMS provide an environment that is both convenient and efficient to use. Coming with some examples to the database management system. Firstly, the banking system is there. Then airline system is there, where there is a record maintenance of all the reservation, all the schedules related to your flights, related to your train. If we are talking about, sorry, this is airline, so there will be a record of your flights. There could be a railway system as well. That there will be a record of your trains, record of your reservation, record of your cancellation is there. Then is the university. There will be registration, grades, sales is there, where their record of these are some examples. Okay. Customer, products and purchases. Then the manufacturing, production, inventory, order, supply chain, human resource, employee records, salaries, tax deduction. You may add any sort of application under the database management system here. Even you can add here college, where there is a record of students, their registration and all this process. Database touch all aspects of our life. If you relate these examples, at some point we use this type of application. We may use some bank, we may use some airlines at some time, university at the time of education, then at the time of purchasing, then sales, then manufacturing is there, then human resource at the time of recruitment. Then there are some type of databases that are available. That is central database, distributed database, NoSQL database, cloud database, relational database, network database, object-oriented database, hierarchical database. You're not going to study in detail you must know the names that these are the types of the various databases. Okay, you must aware of this thing that these are the type of databases. Otherwise, each and every database is having different type of their programming criteria, their syntax, how to use that database, how to maintain the record in a particular database. If we are talking about relational database, that it is having own syntax, how to maintain the record. If we are talking about object-oriented database, they will use their own syntax to maintain their records. So just we will take the names here that these are the different type of databases. Then comes the table. In a database, your record is maintained in the form of table. Okay. As we consider our Excel in our mind, we may say that Excel was also in the form of table. But we can't compare Excel with the Oracle and SQL. Excel is a different thing. Excel is also used for record maintenance. It is also used for database for database management system, but it is not that particular sort of database management system where you can extract the record. The main component of tables are fields and records. A field is the smallest data item stored in one particular format. A record is one complete set of related fields. Let's find out what is field, how to make the table, what is record. Example, in the next presentation, we will see one student table in a university database. Let's find out. The columns in the table are fields. In this, we are saying the main component of tables are field. So here we are saying the what we call field. The column that is available in the table is called field or attributes. Field store the smallest unit of data. The row in the table is called tuple or record. The second component, main component of the table was a record. Here, the field is called a column and record is called in the tuple form. The record is one complete set of relation. Here we take example, there is student name, ID, then marks, aggregate marks, then percentage. If we consider the student name here, this is all in the form of table. Then the ID is there, subject ID is there, then some marks are there, semester marks are there, then the aggregate marks are there, then the percentage there. This is all the record of the student and it is in the form of columns and row, and the columns are called the fields or attributes and records are and rows are called the tuples or record. Okay, this is one of the example where you should be asked what is table. You must say table contains data and it is having two components. One is called the field, other is called the row, and you will give one example here by representing that column is called the field and rows are called the tuples or record. Now coming to the database main concept. Data is a known fact. Data may be name of any student or marks scored by a student or age of the student and date of birth of the student. Means, as the example I have given to you, that anything that is related to the student will become under the student database system or the college database system. Thus, the type of data varies. That if it is a name, then it will contain only any combination of the alphabet. If it is a mark, then it will be only number. If it is date of birth, then it will be only a date. Okay. If I will come here, that the type of data varies. Here, I will take one example. I say name of the student is there. Okay. Then I will say roll number of student is there. Then I say address of student is there. Then I will say phone number is there. I will take these four fields. I'm saying name of the student. Firstly, coming to the type of data varies. How the type of the data varies? One I take as a date of birth. Here is an example of how the data varies. If I'm saying name, can we take name as 1, 2, 3? No. If I'm saying name, name should be in the form of alphabets only. So it's in the form of text only. If I'm saying roll number, let's consider our roll number will always be in the form of numbers or numeric form. Then we say that the data type here, this is called the data type. Means what type of data you are having. I'm having text type of data. Here I'm having number type of data. If I'm saying address is there, then address could be alphanumeric or text. Means your address could be 92 Green Avenue. Means it could be a mixture of some numerics and mixture of some alphabets. So its data type could be alphanumeric or the text format. Okay. Then the phone number. You know, as the phone number is considered, phone can't be in the form of alphabets. It's always in the form of numbers or numeric. Okay. This is one sort of data type of for phone number. If I'm saying date of birth will always be in the form of date. Okay, it's not in the form of text. It can't be like ABC is the date of birth. No. Okay, it should be always in the form of date. The format that we will specify for one particular data is called the data type, and it will vary upon which type of data we are going to use here. So if I come to the definition here, thus the type of data varies, then these are some examples by which we may consider that how the data type varies. Now the data types quoted by the DBMS are numeric, which involves numbers, alphanumerics, which involves letters and digits. Then the date is there, which puts the date. Logical data is there, that is which is in the form of true or false. Then auto number is there. Auto number means that will be automatically generated. That is two will be created after one, and 3 will be created after 2. That will be automatically generated number is called the auto number. First comes to the numeric data type. Numeric only, no letters. That is in the form of 1, 2, 3. It includes number with decimal points as well. Numerical field can contain the numeric character between 0 to 9. Means any number can be considered under the numeric or the decimal points. The numbers which are having some floating values, some decimal number will be under the numeric data type field. Alphanumeric, alphabets, letters, symbols, and number, any sort of data is there, that will be alphanumeric. Alphanumeric data can be made up of the following characters. Alphanumeric data will contain numbers, that is the number between 0 to 9, the alphabets, capital A to Z or small a to Z, then the special characters, hash, forward slash, backslash, dollar sign, asterisk sign, and sign, any sort of sign, special character is there, will become under the alphanumeric. Then date is there. It is used to specify the field contain date. As I have given you example, if you are having some date of joining, date of birth, then the date will be get specified. Date will be get specified. The logical data type, which is in the form of yes or no or true or false. This is called the logical data type. Then comes the auto number, a unique value generated for each record. That means that value won't be get repeated. If I say your roll number, If I consider your university roll number, then your university roll number is unique. You can access the previous record of the university as well of last 25 years. You won't find any roll number which is going to match with your roll number. They are providing you unique roll number that will be your registration key. Okay, that is unique among all the students who have studied or who are studying as well. Okay, you can't find your same roll number of pass out students as well. Okay, you are having your unique roll number. Then the components of the database, we have already studied the components of the database. That is, the tables contain data. Query means questions. You are having some data, but you want to access data. How you will assess it? That is called queries. Selected information is displayed on the screen. If I say I want to see a father's name of that particular student, it doesn't mean I have to access all the database. I will use some sort of method is there that will be called query to assess the record of that particular student. Okay. Then is called the report, formatted printed information. The printed information of any record is called a report. Forms record, screen created to add, modify and delete is called the form record. Means you can add your record, maybe one student maybe get added, then new record will be get added, maybe your address will be get updated, your phone number will be get updated, after some time it will be get modified. Suppose you have left the college, then your record will be get deleted, then there is delete is there. Now coming to the primary key. As I have told you that there is one unique factor is there, that your roll number is unique. The primary field key field is used in a table which uniquely identified that particular record in a table. Okay. The primary key cannot have a duplicate value in the table. Every table should have a primary key associated with it. Okay, I will give an example to specify what is primary key here and how you will decide to make particular field as a primary key. I will make it in the form of table. I will take roll number, name, father's name. Okay, I will take these three fields. Okay. If I will consider, how will you choose which should be your primary key? Then this is the factor here that you will choose your primary key among the various fields. Firstly, I will choose this. Father's name is primary key. First condition is primary key should be unique. No one could have the same type of value. Okay. If I say the value is Ram, okay, the roll number is 1, 2, name is Ram. Here I will take the name as Amit and father's name as it's Sham and with the value Abe. Okay. Here I will take third value as Amit again and Abe again. If I will consider father's name as a primary key, okay, firstly I say it should be unique. No other field should share the same value. Okay, Sham could be primary key. This is okay. Abe could be primary key. But if I consider next value, it is again Abe. And my condition is primary key value should be unique. It should not be repeated anywhere. It should not be repeated anywhere. But it is repeated here. So I won't consider here father's name as a primary key. Now coming to the name. Similarly, Ram is example of primary key. Yes, it could be there. Amit could be a primary key. Okay. Because it is unique. Now, if I consider this is again Amit, then By primary key condition, it should be unique. The value should not be repeated. So if I cancel this father's name as a primary key, name cannot be also as a primary key. Now consider the roll number. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. This is unique. Now if you consider your class roll number, the roll number of your friends as well, they are all unique. You can't share your roll number with your friend as well. So that's why you are having one seating plan where you will find out where you have to sit. Only one particular student at sit at that particular desk. Similarly, the roll number is unique, so roll number can be considered as a primary key. This is an example here. Okay. If I consider the bank example, then in the bank example, your primary keys could be your account number, which is not shared by any person. Now the task associated with tables. You can create a table, specify fields name, data types, field sizes, adding record to the table, modifying data in the table, delete record in the table, creating relationship between the tables. You can create a table. The example that I have shown you, I have created one table. You can specify field name. I have specified field name as roll number, name, and father's name. If I say data type is there, data name type should be with the roll number, it is numeric. With the other, it could be text, or alphanumeric could, it will be in the form of text. If phone number could be there, then it will be in the form of alphanumeric. Then I may add more records to my table. I may modify data in my table. That means I can update the data in my table. I can delete the record in my table. I can create the relationship among the tables. Tasks associated with queries. Creating query to obtain information. Creating queries to update data. You can create queries to update your information as well. Now coming to okay students, to continue with your next unit, unit 2, we will discuss programming languages. What are the various programming languages that are available? What is programming language? A programming languages are used in order to communicate instructions and command to a computer for solving problems. Learning a programming language requires learning the symbols, words, and rules of the language. The process of writing a program is called programming, and the person who will write a program is called the programmer. Okay. Each programming language that you must have heard about C, C++, Java, Python, each are having different syntax and semantics. Means all are having their different rules by which one person is have to obey to write that particular program. Coming to the first language, that is called the machine language. This is a sequence of instruction written in the form of binary numbers consisting of ones and zeros to which computer respond directly. If anyone will say you which language is easily understandable by the computer, then that is the binary language or machine language. That is in the form of 0 and 1s. An instruction prepared in any machine language will have at least two parts. The first part is the command or operation which tells the computer what function is to be performed. All computers have an operation code for each of its function. And the second part of the instruction is the operand, or it tells the computer where to find or store the data that has to be manipulated. What does it mean? If I'm saying machine language is there, and machine language is in the form of binary. Binary means in the form of 0 and 1s. If I say you this is 1 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 0 1 1 1, and I say what's the meaning of this? This is not understandable by human. That is only understandable by computer system directly. Computer can understand what does it mean. And if I say I have written the code of addition, this means add two numbers. These are two numbers, and this is the operation of addition. This is, I must say that this is plus, this is 8, this is 7, and you have to add. This is not understandable by us. This is understandable by computer only. Okay. So in the second part, it is saying any machine language is having two parts. First is the operation and other is called the operand. Where is to be stored? I will give you example first. Firstly, I will say C equal to A plus B. This is the operation. This is called the 1, 2, and 3 are the operands. Now it is understandable to you that what does it mean if I'm saying in machine language, the first part will contain the operation. If I'm saying plus, then could be possible. This is just a rough example, not an exact example. I may say that 1, 1, 0. This means plus. We say 1, 0, 0, 0. That means any value that is containing in A. Let's contain A is containing 8. If I say 0, 1, 1, 1, I say B is containing 7. This will be called the first part of your machine language. This is called the second part of your machine language. In this, the first part will contain the operation here, and this is called the operands here. Okay, these are just the rough examples to understand what does it mean, what's the first part, what is the second part of any machine language. But computer can easily understand what does it mean. Okay, we are just taking it as an example here, as a rough example, but computer will understand it. Advantages of machine language: it is faster in execution since the computer directly start executing it, because computer don't require any type of translator to convert this language. This language is already in the form of 0 and 1, that is understandable by computer. If I am saying I am writing one code in any language, in C language, in C++, firstly it has to be converted into machine language, then it will be get executed. But the language which is directly written in the form of 0 and 1, then there is no need for any translation is here. Disadvantage of machine language: it is difficult to understand and develop a program using machine language. You cannot develop a program using a machine language because it is very difficult to understand what's the form of binary we will use to make one program, to create one program. Anybody going through this program for checking will have a difficult task understanding what will be achieved when this program is executed. That is the obvious thing. If we are not able to understand the code, then how can we write a program, and then how can we judge what will be the end result? Now coming to the second language, that is called the assembly language. When we employ symbols, letter, digits, or special character for the operation part, the address part, and the other part of the instruction code, this representation is called the assembly language program. This is also considered as the second generation language. Machine and assembly language are referred to as a low-level languages since the coding for a problem is at the individual instruction level. An assembler is a translator which takes the input in the form of assembly language program and produces machine language code as its output. Now let's understand this process. Firstly, this is an example of your machine language. If I'm talking about assembly language, assembly language is little bit upgraded language from the machine language. But if we write anything in the machine language, I said I will write here add a comma 50 sta 2050 and hlt, and here I will write here a is containing any value as 50 25. Okay, you will be able to understand add is there. According to you, is any value, any letter is there. But according to me, it is a accumulator. I'm taking a little bit difficult word here, but you must know accumulator is there. That is one sort of register. Or in easy language, we may say that you are having one your copy or register where you are making your notes. Similarly, computer is having one register which is having some name as a accumulator where it is storing some values. Okay. Or if you are not able to understand this concept, you may take a as variable where it is taking the value as 25. Add is understandable to you. That means add the value of a with 50. If I say 25 with 50, this is not understandable to you. Okay. Here I am writing STA means store in accumulator. Means it's a little bit difficult for you to understand what I have written here. Okay. It is understandable to me because I know a little bit of assembly language, the code of assembly language. If I say HLT, I say halt. Halt means stop, means stop the program here. This is the end of your program. Okay. If I say this is assembly language code, let's understand it. You won't be able to understand it because it's again a little bit difficult. But as you know English, you will be able to understand it only 20% or 30%. It will depend upon which type of instruction or command I am giving here. Okay. But what the computer will understand. After the machine language, there was some development in the field of computer languages. Then assembly language came into existence. The assembly, this is an example of assembly language. Okay. This came into existence, but still it is not understandable by all the people. Okay. It is only understandable by the people who aware about the assembly language. If the code is written in the assembly language, then again it will be get converted into, I said this is your assembly language. You don't have to cram it. This is just an example for your easy understanding. Okay. Then again, I said two numbers should be get added and it will be get stored. Okay. 25 should be added with the 50 and 75 should be stored at this location. Firstly, how the process will go on, let's write this code, and again the process will go to change this assembly language code into machine language. That means in the form of zeros and ones. And who will convert this assembly language into machine language? The name of that tool is called assembler. Assembler will convert your assembly language with the assembly language to the machine language. So if I cover here, then finally a computer can understand only machine language. Whatsoever the language you are trying to write here, you may write that is easily understandable to you, but the computer will only understand the machine language. And there must be some tool here. In this case, the assembly language will be get converted to machine language. In this case, the example is the tool is assembler, and in the high level language the tool is compiler. The compiler will convert the high level language into machine level language. It means any language, any code that you will write in any language will be get converted finally into machine language, which is in the form of binary, in the form of 0 and 1, and it will be understandable by the computer only. Then coming to the advantages of assembly language. Writing a program in assembly language is more convenient than in machine language. Yes, because in assembly language we are able to understand the program little bit, not completely, but we are able to understand some words. Okay. Instead of binary sequence, as in machine language, it is written in the form of symbolic instructions. The code that I have written, that is the symbolic instructions. Disadvantages: assembly language program is specific to particular machine architecture. Assembly language are designed for specific make and model of microprocessor. It means that assembly language program written for one processor will not work for different processor. Now I will come to the main purpose of the assembly language, that why assembly languages have been discovered. You are all aware with the term of processor. Yeah, Intel processor are there. Okay, 6-core processor, 8-core processor, even in your phone processor is working. Snapdragon is there, Qualcomm is there. These are all the processors. When you are going to purchase any device, you firstly ask for which processor is having. It's i3, i5, i7. These are all the processor. The designing of the processor, the language which is used to design a processor is assembly language. Okay, any company which is making one processor, two famous companies are there who are designing the processor. One is Intel, other is AMD. They are designing the processors, they are hiring the engineers, computer engineers or electronic engineers, and these engineers are doing their assembly language coding for the microprocessor. Read the last line very carefully. It means the assembly language program written for one processor will not work for the other processor. That means whatsoever has been written for your i3 processor will not work for your i5 processor. Their coding is different in i3 and coding is different in i5. Both the processor are having different type of coding. Maybe some instructions have been repeated, but coding has been completely different. Then coming to the high level language. We have talked about programming languages as COBOL, Fortran, BASIC. These are called the high level programming languages. The time and cost for creating machine and assembly language are very high. Obviously, it is very difficult to write a program in machine level language in the form of 0 and 1 in the form of assembly language. So when we are going to write a program in high level language, it is very much easy to write. It save over cost as well as over time. Since a high level source program must be translated first into the form that the machine can understand, this is done by a software called the compiler. As I have already told you that if any program which is written in the assembly language code needs one tool or software that is called assembler that will convert assembly language code to the machine level language. But anything which is written in the C, C++, Java, COBOL, BASIC, Fortran, these are all the high level languages where one tool is required that is called compiler, which takes the code as input and produces an output. You are not able to find out where it will be get converted. It is all the backend procedure that is not visible to you. that is not visible to you, the user. You will give the input and you will just find out the output directly. Okay, whether it has been converted into machine language, which tool has been used, you must be aware of the tool, which tool has been used, but how it will be get converted, you are not able to see that process. Okay, that is completely at the back end. Now coming to the advantages of the high level language, first is the readability. Programs written in these languages are more readable than assembly and machine language. Portability. Programs could be run on different machines with little or no changes. We can therefore exchange software, leading to creation of programs library. Firstly, I will come to the readability. Readability means if we consider our code in our machine language, assembly language, then it is easy to understand the high level language, because in high level language all the coding has been done in English language, that is easily understandable to you. But some syntax are there. Syntax are also in the form of where should be you use the semicolon, where will you use the colon, where you use the full stop. These are the syntax, some rules, but all the coding is in the form of English language. Portability is there. Portability means if you are working in one machine, in a one computer, you can transform your program to the other computer. You can transfer your program. Okay, that is called the portability. Easy debugging. Debugging means to find out the error and to rectify it, to remove it. Errors could easily be removed in the high level language. Easy software development. Software could easily be developed. Commands of programming languages are similar to natural language. As I'm saying, it is written in English language over natural language. If we consider it English, that means it can be easily understandable to us. Now moving to the next topic, that is called the e-agriculture. Where the word E is there, that means related to some electronic. Then electronic agriculture is there. E-agriculture is an area of application of information and communication technology. In abbreviation, we may say that this is the abbreviation of ICT, information and communication technology. ICT applications are ensures the systematic dissemination of information using ICT on agriculture, animal husbandry, fishery, forestry, and food in order to provide ready access to comprehensive, up-to-date, detailed knowledge and information, particularly in rural areas. Public and private partnerships should seek to maximize the use of ICT as an instrument to improve production. If we talk about e-agriculture, this e-agriculture, we consider the various fields of agriculture like animal husbandry, fishery, forestry, food is there, crop cultivation is there. We can use media like internet facility is there, where we can assess or analyze our records over the internet graphically, or find out how the production is going in the last 5 years, how the production is going in the last 10 years by comparing the various rates or various other parameters. Okay. Then coming to the recent developments and emerging trends. There are three trends that we will consider, major three trends: mobile telephony, mobile phone to smartphones, mobile financial services. Let's discuss the mobile telephony. The increase in mobile telephony penetration in the past 10 years has led to increase in the mobile application specifically designed for agriculture development. The number of mobile platforms developed and used in the market to bridge the digital divide with smallholders farmers has also increased tremendously, bringing a more diverse range of information sources for farmers. Example, internet, radio, TV, newspaper, extension agents than a few years ago. That means if we compare over last past to 10 years, okay, then there were no such facilities of internet and TV was there so that every farmer can access it. But now every person is having mobile phone, and with this they are in the recent trend of marketing. Mobile based information delivery holds great promise and is either being considered or is in use as an important channel for agriculture, advisory services, financial services, and other essential information in rural communities, especially in enhancing access to market information and market prices and demands. Especially by the use of mobile phone, everyone is aware of that how they can access the media, how they can get the benefits of mobile. Like if one crop is considered, then how they can compare that crop, that how the crop has been rising in the past 10 years by relating all the facts and parameters, they can make the production better in the coming year. Mobile phones to smartphones. 5 years ago, SMS dominated, short message service dominated. Now there are SMS, IVR, interactive voice response, smartphones, apps, and integration with social media. These are all the trends that we are using. The development of mobile applications, some apps are here for agriculture development, has been driven partially by young people. Apps alone may not cater for the needs of the farmers, but they are a huge step towards integrating agriculture and ICT. If we integrate these mobile smartphones with the cultivation, then there is a huge factor and huge impact of mobile phones over the cultivation. Farmers are very much aware right now. They are not neglecting the things. If you give any suggestion to the farmers that how they can rise the crop, they will definitely find over the YouTube, they will search over the internet, and partly some people are using some apps that how they can gain profits. Then mobile financial services. Four kinds of financial services that farmers need in order to achieve their economic goals have been identified and are becoming more widespread: credits, saving, money transfer, payment facilities, and insurance. Yes, all these services are available over the phone. Okay, mobile banking is there, so farmers are easily accessing it also. Okay, we may say that not completely the farmers are dependent on this mobile or smartphones, but partially they are using it, and could be possible in the coming future in the next 10 years they completely will be dependent on this application. ICTs have developed the potential to deliver diverse financial products to a greater number of rural clients than conventional financial service providers have been able to reach so far. These services are giving more benefits to the clients who are residing in the rural areas. ICT contribute to economic efficiency and improve services delivery, so they lower business and transaction cost. With the use of these mobile financial services, mobile banking facilities, the cost of transportation and the weight over how the transaction will be get happened if they are going to buy something from some other place, they can easily use mobile banking, they can easily make their transaction for their work.